Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satyananda Chinta Satyeka Pakshe Sarvadhyakshe Bhakti Rakshadi Dakshe Shri Govinde Vishwasargadi Kande Purnanande Nityamastam Mathirme Agyani Nirupaiti Yavishesham Bhakti Param Vajati Pariposham Uchaihi Tattvam Param Smurati Durgamam Apyajashram Satpunya Bhrutsvarachitam Pranavami Gitam Gauram Sukhas Satkumuda Pramodi Swabhi Kayagostamo Nihanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sudani Dharme Manoditishtan Swaratim Karoto प्राचीनवाच सुविचार्य सोहम अज्ञोपि गीतामृतलेश लिप्सुः यत प्रभोरेव मदेत तत्र शन्तक्षमत्वं शरणागतस्य सर्वोपनिषदो गावः गोप्ता गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुक्तं गीतामृतं महत् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपादमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं धर्मज्ञानवैराग्य साध्य भक्त्येव गोचरः नारायणः परब्रह्म गीता शास्त्रे समीरितः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विकास स्वामी नामिने नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे योऽन्त प्रविश्य वाचमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधर स्वधाम्ना अन्यां हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं पान्त्वस्मान् पुरुहूतवैरिबलवन्मातङ्गमाद्यद्घटा कुम्भोच्छात्र विपाटनाति कपटु प्रत्येक वज्रायुधाः श्रीमत्कण्ठेरवास्य प्रदर्शनकराधारितारातिदूरप्रद्वस्तत्वान्तशान्तप्रवदितमनसा भाविता भूरिभागैः. Hare Krishna, welcome you all for this Gita Sastri course. Now we are in the 21st day and today we'll be looking at the chapter number 17 and also a few shlokas from 18 also, because 18 chapter is quite big and we'll try to cover as much as possible in 18 and also we'll try to cover the 17th chapter. So yesterday Krishna spoke about Daivasura Sampatti. Why he spoke about that? Because when you are having these good qualities, then it is very favorable to accept the supremacy of the Lord and to practice this devotion service. So in order to establish the supremacy, we need to, in order to establish, understand the supremacy of the Lord, we need to develop these good qualities. So Krishna spoke about Purushottama Yoga, that he is the supreme person, and to understand this, you need good qualities, that was mentioned. So how to develop those good qualities? When we are taking birth with so many bad impressions, with so many bad samskaras from our previous lives, how to develop those good qualities? Then Krishna said, yes, we are born with all bad qualities, but if we start acting according to Shastra, then these bad qualities can be changed. That's why he said, Yaha Shastra Vidhi Mutsrijya Vartate Kamakaratah Na Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukam Na Parangatim. And then he said, Tasmat Shastram Pramanante Karya Karyavastito Nyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Dharmakartum Viharhasi. Arjuna, that's why we should always follow Shastra. So if you are under the shelter of Shastra, then you are safe. So for us, Shastra means under the able guidance of a guru. So if we are under a proper shelter, if we are following under a proper guidance, then we can be without any tension. We can just act whatever they say. Until we are independent, we have to be thinking whether this is right or not, whether I should do or not, whether this is proper or not, whether this is dharma or adharma. We should always consider all these things. But once if you are under a proper guru, when he starts guiding you, then you can just simply act according to his wish, and then whatever karma he is going to get it. You are not going to get any karma because he is guiding you. So you are just following his guidance and that's it. So that's why we should follow Shastra, or we should follow under the proper guidance of a guru. That's what the last conclusion that Krishna gave, that Shastra, that we should base our life on the teachings of Shastra. So now, having said that, in the 17th chapter, Arjuna starts with a beautiful question. So before that, we'll try to understand what is Shastra. Because yesterday itself, because of lack of time, we couldn't explain what is Shastra. Shastra means Shashanati iti Shastraha. That which guides you, that which rules you, that is called Shastra. Shashana means, the law, or called Shashana, Anushashana. And so that which rules us, that which guides us is called Shastra. So Shastras are not just some quotes, or not some Sanskrit verses, or not some imaginary things, but Shastras are meant to guide us. That is why we call it as Shastra. We have Shastra. Shastra means weapons. Weapons are meant to guide, are meant to correct people, are meant to punish people. So Shastra does the same thing. Shastra, it helps us, it guides us, it even gives us punishment. It says this is the punishment, that if you do like this, you'll get punishment. So this is like a law, legislation. When you have a law in a country, it helps us in three ways. It helps us to get our rights. It also helps us when we are in a problem, and also it shows us when you do this kind of mistake, then you get this kind of punishment. So rules and regulations in a country, it gives us these three kinds of information. One is our rights. The other one is it helps us when we are in a problem. And third one is it shows us when you are doing something wrong, then you will get this kind of punishment. So that's what Shastra also does. Shastra does these things. And Shastra means basically 4 Vedas, and also we have Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra. They are called Shastra. So why we should accept Shastra? Next question is why I should accept Shastra? Why I should accept this Shastra? How I know this Shastra is perfect? Because if someone says that this is the law of this country, then how do we know whether this is the law of the country or not? Somebody may come and they will say, this is the law of the country, you should follow. How we should understand that this is the law of the country? So in the similar way, we should understand what is Shastra, why I should take Shastra as a pramana for my life, why I should follow the guidance of Shastra. Because Shastras are free from defects. So we should follow Shastra, and we can follow Shastra without any fear, because it is without any defects. It is free from Brahma, Pramada, Vipralipsa, Karna Patava. These 4 kinds of defects. Every human being has these 4 kinds of defects. He is tend to get illusion, and his senses are not perfect. He has the tendency to cheat, and also he commits mistakes. So these 4 deficiencies are present in every human being. So we need to follow someone. We cannot be independent in this world. Right from birth, we are following someone. How to eat, how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to do action, how to do everything. We always follow someone. Without following someone, we cannot manufacture our own thing. So in a similar way, in this world, we should act. So how we should act? We should act according to Shastra. Or we should follow someone. So whom to follow? We should follow a perfect person. If you follow an imperfect person, then he has this 4 deficiency. He has tendency to do mistakes. So if you follow that person, you may commit mistakes also. You may follow a person because and he may have this tendency to get illusion. So if you follow that person, you will also end up in illusory knowledge. And you may follow a person who has imperfect senses. His conclusions are imperfect. So if you follow him, your conclusions will be imperfect. And if you follow a person who is having cheating propensity, then you will also end up developing those cheating propensities. So we should follow a person who is perfect, or we should follow a thing which is perfect. So whom to follow? Then we come to Shastras. Why we follow Shastras? Because Shastras are free from these 4 deficiencies. Why? Because Shastras are not made by any human beings. The Shastras are called Apaurushaya. The main quality of a Shastra is called Apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means it is not made by any human being, any Purusha. It is not made by even Lord. Lord himself, he doesn't take ownership, doership for the Shastra. Lord doesn't say that I created this Shastra. No, Shastras are eternal. Like Lord is eternal, Shastras are also eternal. Anadi, Ananta, Shastra. So Shastras are eternal. It is not made at certain point of time. It is all the time present. It is existing. It is ever existing. It is eternal. Then who are rishis? Rishis, we say rishis, they presented this Shastra. For example, Gayatri Mantra. This Gayatri Mantra is presented by Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra, he gave this Gayatri Mantra to this world. So then how do we understand that rishis are this rishi is the owner of this mantra? Like every mantra has rishi, has devata, has chandas. In the end of a mantra or in the beginning of the mantra, we always say this mantra or this sukta or this part of Veda, it belongs to this rishi. It has to be chanted in this style of chandas, and it is praising this devata. This we find in every shloka, every sukta, every mantra. So when it is like that, then how do we reconcile this? So why the rishis are mentioned? So it says the rishis are mantra drashtaha, not mantra kartas. The rishis, they receive the mantras, not they manufacture this mantra. When we say Vishwamitra has given us Gayatri Mantra, it is not that he made that mantra. He received that mantra and he has given us. From where he has received? From the cosmos. This whole world is filled with Vedic mantras. Like we have radio waves. Whole world is filled with radio waves, with internet, 3G, 4G, 5G waves. So it is everywhere. We cannot perceive. But when you have a proper transmitter, which catches the frequency, then you receive the signals. Similarly, the rishis, our our consciousness is so dull, it's so small that we cannot think too many things. But rishis, their consciousness is so broad, they can connect with the consciousness of the cosmos. It is possible by means of their yogic power. This is how the scientists also they get their knowledge. If you see scientists' life history, you can come across this statement that the scientist was trying. At last, at one point of time, this idea just came up in his mind. How? Because of this thinking on the same subject again and again and again, this knowledge is given inside from Paramatma. Similarly, the knowledge, the Vedic mantras are everywhere in this whole world. So these mantras are received by means of their tapasya. So rishis, they do tapasya, by their meditation, they receive this mantra and they give this mantra. So that's why they are called mantra drashta. They see these mantras. They are not mantra kartas. They are not the makers. They are not the writers of the mantra. So rishis, they given us this mantra. So Lord has humans, definitely they did not create, and rishis they did not create, and also Lord also did not create this mantra, these Vedic mantras. So where these Vedic mantras are coming from? What are these Vedic mantras? Then we have a statement in the Upanishad itself. It says, Yasyaiha Visvachitam Vedaha. These Vedas are considered as Lord's breath. When Lord starts breathing, Vedic mantras, they start to come out. So, like Lord is eternal, his breathing is also eternal. We cannot say Lord came first and then his breathing came next. No. As much as the Lord is eternal, he has no Adi. Similarly, the Vedic mantras has no any Adi. And it has no any Anta also. It has no any end also. We cannot count this Veda means only this many mantras, this many suttas. No. Vedas are unlimited. According to the capability of Rishi, he receives the mantra and he gives us during the Satya, Treta, Dwapara yugas. And we have this many mantras for this Chatur Yuga. And in next Chatur Yuga, maybe there may be so many other mantras in the Vedic literature. So the mantras cannot be concealed. Only this many mantras. Mantras are, the Vedas are ananta. They are unlimited. They are endless. So Vedas are beginningless and they are endless also. So this we should understand. This is ananta. Okay. So Vedas are Ananta and Anadi, and also Vedas are called Apaurishaya. It is not made by human beings. But unfortunately, in the modern world, people, those who call themselves as scientists or the researchers of the languages, they come up with various ages or time limit or time period for the Vedas. They say the Rig Veda has appeared in such and such year before this many years. They give dates, but it is unacceptable in the Vedic literature. And how they give these dates? They give these dates by two methods. How they predict the dates or the time period for a Veda. They say the first thing is in the Vedas, there may be a mention of a situation where yajna is done. This yajna is done by this rishi. And during this yajna, the constellation was like this. The sun was here, the moon was here, and this thing happened. So the particular mention of a tithi or a constellation is mentioned in the Upanishad or in the Vedic literature itself. So what these people they do, they take this particular situation and they try to find out when this constellation happened. So they go across few years. They say, okay, this constellation happened at most 3,000 years before, and they cannot calculate further. This constellation may happen even many Chaturyugas before also, but our calculation will not go till that Chaturyuga. So whatever they can, their calculation can go till that time, they fix this is the time, because their calculation cannot go beyond that. So they fix this is the time of this Vedas created. And second thing is that they find the language. In language, they find certain words are used and slowly the words are changing. And they compare various other literatures with the existing Vedas, and they come to conclusion. Okay, Rig Veda must have come from this many years because the other scripture also having the same kind of words used, so it must be in the same age. So in this way, they speculate. They have an imagination. They come to a wrong conclusion, and they give numbers. They give periods for the Vedas. Why they have done this? They done this purposefully, because India is a country where they believe strongly in Vedic literature, and they were following Vedic literature. So in order to break this, knowledge, in order to break their faith, they brought this Vedas have time limit. And when you say that Veda has time period, then easily it can be said it is made by human. If it is made by humans, then we don't have to follow the Vedas, because it is ultimately made by humans, so we don't have to follow Vedas. This is how they brought us to a wrong conclusion. And without knowing all this thing, we are nowadays we are not concerned about Vedas or literature or Sanskrit, whatever. We are just living our life just like that. But this is the truth, how we should understand the Vedas. So Vedas are Apaurishaya, it is without any time period. So it is not possible to give us a time limit for the Vedas. So it is safe that we follow the Vedic literature, because it is not made by any human beings. So that's why we should understand, at least we should have this basic knowledge about our own Vedic literature. So in the 17th chapter, Krishna is going to speak about little different subject. Because of Arjuna's question, now Krishna is dealing some different subject. So what is 17th chapter? 17th chapter is Ashastram Asuram Krishnam Shastriyam Gunatah Pritak Lakshanam Shastra Siddhasya Vidita Sapta Dashoditam. So those who are against Shastras are Asuric, and Shastras themselves speak about three kinds of instruction. So this is the subject matter of the 17th chapter. What is that? We should understand. Arjuna's, if you understand Arjuna's question, then you understand what is the subject matter which is dealt in the 17th chapter. Arjuna is asking question in the first shloka itself. He says, those who are following Shastra, those who have read Shastra, those who have understood Shastra, but they are not following Shastra. They know there is Shastra, and they accept there is a Shastra, and they have read something, they have knowledge about Shastra, but out of laziness or out of so many other problems, they are not following Shastra. So what kind of person they are? Because previously it is said that if you don't follow Shastra, then you are Asuric. If you follow Shastra, then you are Deva. But now the case is, he knows Shastra, he has the knowledge of Shastra, but he is not acting according to Shastra. So what kind of person he is? This is the situation with us. How? Because we know we have faith in God, and we know there is a God. And how this conception we got this from Shastra. So that means we have faith in Shastra. We have read Shastra, we have faith in Shastra. But even after having faith in Shastra, even we have read Shastras, but we never act according to Shastra. We don't accept Krishna as supreme, and we don't do bhakti, and we start doing so many different kinds of devotion, so many different kinds of religious principles. So this is exactly our situation. We are not exactly Deva, we are not exactly Asuras. We are in between. So Krishna is asking about us. Should be clear. Either you should follow Shastra completely, or you reject Shastra completely. If you follow Shastra completely, you are Deva. If you reject Shastra completely, then you are Asura. But our situation is, we know, we accept Shastra. Shastra means when we understand that there is a God, that there is a demigod, that we should worship him. That means you understand Shastra. You accept there is a Shastra, you accept there is a God beyond everything. But even after understanding, even after accepting the Shastric rule, but we don't understand completely, or we don't apply the Shastra completely, means we don't worship Krishna, and we start worshipping various other kinds of demigods. So what kind of person we are? We are in between. So whether he is in a Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, or Tamoguna, what kind of person he is? That is a question which Krishna asks here, which Arjuna asks here. So these Shastras are pramana for our life. So just now I saw why we are following this Shastra. So now Arjuna is asking this question. He has faith in Shastra, but he doesn't act according to Shastra. So what kind of person he is? So Krishna starts answering. Arjuna, faith can be three types. Means he is accepting Shastra, means he is having faith in Shastra. So this faith can be divided into three types. According to Sattva, Raja, and Tamoguna, the Shastric faith can be divided into three types. This faith is based on our impressions, based on our previous vasanas. We have different kinds of faith in our Shastra. So according to Guna, you see the Shastra. Now we are reading the same Bhagavad Gita. But one who is in Tamoguna, he doesn't understand anything, or he understands vaguely here and there something. But one who is in Rajoguna, he sees the Shastra, he starts reading the Bhagavad Gita, and he comes up with strange kind of understanding. And those who are in Sattva Guna, they study this Shastra and they come up with different understanding. Okay, this Bhagavad Gita is very pious and it gives us good knowledge. It is very good. It is our culture. So it is our duty to study this Bhagavad Gita. So they come up with different understanding. Same Shastra, but seen by different people in a different way. According to our guna, according to our Sattva, Raja, Tamo Guna, in which mode we are situated. So according to our vision, the Shastra, whatever we see, it changes. That's why we say Shastra should be never read on our own. When it is heard or when it is studied under the proper guidance of a devotee, then we can see Shastra properly. So if you start understanding Shastra on your own, then according to our Sattva, Raja, Tamo Guna, we start to see Shastra in these three modes of material nature, and we will get misled by this understanding, by our own understanding. But if you see through devotees, they are above these three gunas, so they can guide you properly and they can also bring you out of this three guna. That's why when this Bhagavad Gita was studied under Srila Prabhupada, it brought so many changes in the hearts of so many people. Why? Because he was not taking us through Tamoguna, Rajoguna, Sattva. He was taking us directly the spiritual in the Suddha Sattva Guna. That's why this Shastra had a different effect. People, those who are in Tamoguna, they read Shastra and they have different effect. Those who are in Rajoguna, they study, they have different effect. Those who are in Sattva Guna, they study, they have different effect. But those who study under devotees, they have completely different effect. So that's why we should study Shastra in a proper guidance. So Krishna says here, Arjuna, faith, this faith itself is a quality of a Sattva Guna. Because if you are unfaith, if you don't have any faith, that means it is Tamo Guna, Raja Guna. But if you have a faith, that itself is a Sattva Guna quality. Having faith itself is a Sattva Guna quality. But inside that faith, there are three kinds of faith. There are Sattva, Raja, Tamo Guna faith. So Krishna starts speaking about this. Everything runs based on this faith. In this world, everything is based on faith. So where this faith exists inside, in our antakarana, in our mind, intelligence, ego, and in our chitta, in our consciousness, this faith exists. So this faith with gunas, it is how our outcome is. So we have a faith and also we have different gunas. So according to our guna, this faith is combined and we perform different kinds of action. So Krishna is going to speak about those kinds of faith and action. So Arjuna's question is clear. Arjuna's question is those who have faith but they don't follow, but they don't follow exactly. So Krishna is saying, yes, I can understand your question. So the answer is yes, they have faith, but their faith is under Sattva, Raja, Tamo Guna. So those who are in Raja and Tamo Guna, they act very in a different way. So Krishna is speaking about those kind of faith in Sattva, Raja and Tamo Guna. So those who are in Sattva Guna, they worship demigods. Those who are in Raja Guna, they worship Yaksha and Rakshasas. Those who are in Tamo Guna, they worship Pisachas and also Bhutaganas. So when we say demigods, demigod means usually Vasus, Ashtavasus, we call it them Ashtavashus. So Ashtavashus means we have Apa, we have Varuna, there water, we have Dhruva, Dhruva Nakshatra, we have Soma, that is moon god, we have Dhara, that is earth, we have Anila, that is air, that is Vayu, we have Anala, that is fire, fire god, we have Pratusha, Pratusha means we have Sandhya, god, and we have Prabhasa, Prabhasa means light. So in Vedic period, this kinds of demigods were worshipped. Those who are in Sattva Guna, they were worshipping this kinds of demigods. And those who are in Raja Guna, they were worshipping so many different kinds of demigods who are Yaksha, Rakshasas, and who are Kuvera, Nairuti. So all these kinds of demigods they were worshipping, those who are in Raja Guna. And those who are in Tamo Guna, they were worshipping Pisachas, Pretas. Pretas means fallen Brahmana who has not yet gone for liberation. So they are called Pretas. And we have Bhutaganas. We have followers of Shiva. They are called Bhutaganas. And now if you go to any village, in every village, they have some different kinds of deity. So they are Bhutaganas. They were all worshipped. So they are all in the modes of Tamo Guna. So those who don't follow Shastras, their austerity is useless. Now Krishna is speaking about demonic quality. He just explains, he just shows us a difference between demons and also those who know the Shastra but they don't follow Shastra. So here, the demons, they also perform so many different kinds of austerities, but they are not guided by Shastras. So what they do Gora Tapasya, and they do it for as a show, and they do with pride, with ahankara, and they do because of kama, krodha, and because of their kama raga, because of their attachment for sense gratification. So this kind of tapasya actually disturbs me and this body also. So this kind of people, this kind of asuras or this kind of demons, they're actually making me worry. So what Krishna is saying here, there are 3 kinds of children and there are 4 kinds of children. One child is sattva guna, one child is in rajoguna, and the other child is in tamoguna, and the other child is completely rajas, completely asura. So at least one child is at my home, he's not even doing anything, but he's at my home. And one child is all the time running here and there, making mess at home. And one child, he is listening my word. And there is one kind of child, he's always doing against my will. So they are called asuras. So for mother, this 4th kind of child is headache. Mother has to all the time shout, why are you eating my energy? Why are you eating my head? Why are you eating my prana? Why are you running here and there? Why are you doing like this? He's all the time doing something against mother's will. He's actually doing or destroying for others. He's making things which are against others' will. So they are called demons. So Krishna is speaking about these demons. So he's just making us difference. You see the difference between people in Sattva, Raja, Tamoguna. At least they are in the realm of Shastra. They are doing something which is related to Shastra. But there are some people who does beyond Shastra or who does against Shastra. So they are the demons and they are the people who cause problems. So Arjuna, you should understand, if these people, they have faith, they understand something, but they're not following fully, means they may be in Rajo and Tamoguna also. But those people, they don't accept Shastra, they reject completely Shastra and they act according to their own wish, then they are considered to be demons. That means in this situation, in our situation, we should understand there are some devotees who worship Grama Devata, who worship demigods, who worship here and there. That is good. But those who worship man-made God, those who worship false avatars, they are completely demons because they are completely against Shastra. So they are more dangerous. At least those who are worshipping this Grama Devata, they are at some point of time they will get purified. They will accept Supreme Lord. But those who are worshipping this false demigod, those who are worshipping this false avatars, it is impossible for them to come to Lord. That we can see in this world itself. Those who are already worshipping some cheating avatars, the man-made, self-made God, you can preach. It is impossible for you to convince them about the Supreme Lord because they completely fixed. They're against Shastra. So if they're against Shastra, they cannot understand anything. So having said that, now Krishna starts to speak about this Sattva, Raja, Tamoguna in 4 places. He speaks this Sattva, Raja, Tamoguna is present in our food, in our sacrifice, in our charity, in our austerity. So in food, we find these 3 kinds of qualities. Why Krishna is speaking about this 3 kinds of gunas? In order to understand, we should understand in what kind of guna we are and how we should develop or how we should elevate ourselves to Sattva guna. That's why Krishna is speaking about these 3 gunas in various categories. He says the Sattva guna, the food in Sattva guna. So the food in Sattva guna means the food which prolongs your life or which has prana in that food, means fresh vegetables or fruits, they are very fresh. They have prana inside, or sprouts, ghee, the honey. So these are all considered as sattva guna food because it has prana. It prolongs your life, and also it increases your willpower. It produces strength, and it is immune to the immune to the diseases. It produces satisfaction, and also it creates appetite immediately. Means it is not that you eat and then you stay like a potato for 6 hours. No, the sattva guna food are very easily digestible, and also it is tasty. It is very mild, but also it is substantial. It is beneficial. So these are the food in sattva guna, and the food should be not. It's not that you should with your teeth you should pull that food or you should chew it again and again. You should spend so much time in eating, because those who are in sattva guna, they don't like to spend much time in eating. They just eat fatafat something little bit and then finish. They don't want to waste their time. So sattva guna food means should be simple, should be full, and also it should create happiness in you. So that is called food in sattva guna. And rajoguna food means so much bitter, sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning sensation, deep fry, oil fry, and also pickles. So this all comes under rajoguna. So it creates sorrow when you're eating. You have tears in your eyes. In stomach it burns. When it comes out it burns. So everywhere it burns. So difficult to eat and difficult to digest. After eating so many different kinds of dead bodies, then people start drinking 7-Up or Coca-Cola, whatever, to digest those things. So it is difficult to digest, and it finally it creates disease. So this kind of food are in the rajoguna. And also we have food in tamoguna, that is stale food. It stays for a long time and which has no taste. It has very bad smell. It is rotten food. It is left to our or we eat from others' plate. That is also considered as tamoguna. It is very impure. It creates laziness, and also it creates very dull memory in our head. So that's why in the Vedic time, the brahmanas or brahmacharis or sannyasis, they eat very simple food, and fridge is meant for dead bodies. Usually to store dead materials we store in fridge, but what can we say? This Kali Yuga, we cannot say anything. Now we should not think so many things about this, because we start thinking about this, then we cannot practice anything. For us, devotion service is important. Like we said, knowledge is important than action. Whatever action we are doing, it should produce knowledge. If there is no knowledge from our action, then action itself doesn't bring us any result. Like people, they used to follow so many actions. Like they know how to wash their hand, how to take bath, how to brush, how to cook food in a very sattvic. Everything they do, but they forget devotional service, and then there is no use. So without knowledge, without the result of knowledge, just action itself doesn't bring us the result. But action is also important. So in this Kali Yuga, whatever is possible for us to stay in sattva guna, it is good. If it is not possible, then everything, the Krishna will speak how this can be rectified. In the end of this chapter, he will say, even if there are some discrepancies in our food or in our things, then we can rectify it by certain method. Yes. So this is the food in sattva raja tamo guna, and Krishna speaks about sacrifice in sattva raja tamo guna. So sacrifice in sattva guna means it should be according to Shastra and no desire for material results, and it is done simply out of duty, and it is meant to satisfy the Lord. So this is how the sacrifice should be done. It is in sattva guna. And rajoguna sacrifice means expecting some results to show others that I am a spiritual person. So this kind of sacrifice is in rajoguna. And tamoguna means contrary to scripture, not given food in charity during our yajna, and also no proper mantras, with improper mantras, with so many mistakes we do our yajna. So this kind of yajna is considered in tamoguna. But in Kali Yuga, we don't do yajna. We have nama yajna, nama japa yajna only. So we don't have to consider too much about it. And also, when the priest is not paid that is also considered as tamoguna yajna. And also without faith, if you do something, that is also, so everything is yajna, right? Yajna means sacrifice. Sacrifice means now we are listening here, correct? Bhagavad Gita, we are listening. So what we are doing actually, we are sacrificing our time. We are sacrificing our energy. So why we are doing this? For what purpose we are doing this? Whether we are doing it according to Shastra, yes, we study Bhagavad Gita, it is according to Shastra. Whether we are doing it for some any material desire, we should see. Whether we are doing it simply as a duty, or whether we are doing it as a satisfaction for the Lord, and whether we are doing with some respect, with expecting some results, or to show, or it is done without proper offerings, or without proper dakshana, without proper faith, or without proper charity, without proper guidance, then we should see whether what kind of sacrifice that we are doing. And austerity, tapas. So tapas can be divided into three types: the tapasya for the body, for the words, and for the mind. So for this body, what is tapasya? Tapasya means worshipping demigods, worshipping brahmanas, worshipping guru, worshipping elderly, intelligent people. So that is the tapasya for this body. And maintaining purity, sincerity, celibacy, non-violence. These are the tapasya, austerity for this body. So when you have this body, you should maintain all this tapasya. And tapasya for speech, controlled speech. That is the speech which does not disturb others. The speech should be true, it should be pleasing, it should be beneficial, and the recitation of Vedas, recitation of the mantras, these are the tapasya for our words. And also the tapasya for our mind is purity, gentleness, contemplation of Atma, withdrawal from sense gratification, and non-duplicity. These are the tapasya for our mind. So human means we should do tapasya. Tapo divyam putrakayena sattvam suttena sattva tasmat brahma saukyam anantam. So this body, naham dehadeva bhajam vitloge kashtan kaman arhati vitpujandre, this human birth is meant for tapasya. We should do tapasya in these three kinds of way. By means of our body, by our word, by our mind, we should do tapasya. So this tapasya can be also, again, three types. Can be in sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna. So what is sattva guna tapasya? Sattva guna tapasya means it should be done with full faith. Like somebody is worshipping guru, but he has no any faith. He just worships. That is tamoguna faith. That is tamoguna tapasya. Or one who is speaking very pleasing words, but has no any faith. Anyway, I am just talking. So that is tamoguna, again, faith. So that is tamoguna tapasya. So here Krishna says the tapasya should be done with faith, and also without longing for the results, and with concentration, with full concentration of mind. If you do anything, that is called tapasya in sattvaguna. And tapasya in rajoguna is for verbal praise, that I maintain my body very purely, or I perform so many kinds of worship for the purpose of praise, or for bodily respect, or to get offering from others so that I will be praised, or for to make a show. So these kinds of results are very temporary and uncertain also. So this kind of tapasya are in rajoguna. So we can see this kind of tapasya in Hiranyakashipu also. So they were doing tapasya, but their tapasya is meant for gaining respect or gaining power. It is not meant, it is not in the quality of sattvaguna. And there are tamoguna tapasya also. So tamoguna tapasya means it is blindly attached. They are blindly attached. They are creating problem for others, and also stubborn attachment. Like why you should worship? I will worship. That's it. I don't know. I will worship. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I don't know. I will just do it. So without any understanding why we are doing, if you do any kind of tapasya, it is tapasya in tamoguna. And Krishna speaks about charity. So charity also can be in the three modes. That is in sattvaguna. Sattvaguna means with conviction, with full heart, you give something in charity. So to a proper person, not to anyone, but to a proper person, and without any expectation back, and also at a proper place in a proper time. If you give charity, that is charity in sattvaguna. That means in our house, or we see a old Vaishnava or a very poor Vaishnava. So what we do, we try to give him some food, or we try to give him some money, and when he gets this food or money, then he starts doing his devotion service. When he starts doing his devotion service, we get phala, we get result from his devotion service also. But if you give money or if you give food to a thief, what he will do? He will eat, he will get nice things, and he will come and steal from your house itself. So you have to suffer. So that's why we should give charity in a proper place. If you give charity in a proper place, you get good results. If you give charity in a wrong place, then you get back, you get fired by the results also. That's why it should be given a proper place. And the charity which is done with the expectation of reciprocation and unwillingly, if you give charity just because it is said I should give, then it is in the quality of Rajoguna. So Rajoguna charity means, nowadays we can see people, they start giving gifts or they start giving charity. Whom they give? In their family members itself they will give. If you want to give some Swarnadhana, or if you want to give some very valuable gifts, valuable things, whom they will give? They will give to their own relative itself, because it doesn't go outside. When you want to give some useless gifts, then you call outside people and you start giving. So this is how the Rajoguna or Rajoguna charity is. You come and ask that person, you squeeze that person, please give me, please give me, please give me. And this person is, okay, I will give you tomorrow. Okay, come and give you, I will give you tomorrow. So unwillingly, he's been squeezed and the person is giving unwillingly. So this is the charity which is done in the quality of Rajoguna. And Tamoguna means it is disregarding the etiquette and with discourtesy, and also to an undeserving person in a wrong place in a wrong time. If you give, it is the charity in the modes of Tamoguna. So these things has to be understood, because in Vedic time, this thing, people were doing all these things. What they were doing? They were having faith and they were eating. We are also eating now, but nowadays we are not doing any sacrifice. Nowadays we don't have any charity, and nowadays we don't have any austerity. We just simply live. We eat and we live. But in Vedic time, they had this quality. They were doing sacrifice every day, and they were doing they were doing some charitable work every day, and they were doing austerity also. So in order to establish them in a proper place, Krishna is giving all this instruction. But for us, austerity means at least following 4 relative principles, eating prasad. For us, charity means at least helping time to time in our temple to devotees. So that is our charity. And also our sacrifice means engaging or giving our time, our whatever qualities we have in the service of Krishna. That is our sacrifice. So our sacrifice, our charity, our tapasya is little different from what is mentioned in the Vedic time. And after saying all these things, then Krishna says that Om Tat Sat. By chanting this name, by chanting Lord's name as Om Tat Sat, then people, they come out of all kinds of defects from the charity, from this austerity, from the tapasya. Because when you do all these things, definitely there will be some discrepancies. But when you chant Lord's name with your sacrifice, with your charity, with your tapas, then the process is purified. Then you get the proper result. So Krishna says previously, when Brahmadeva, when he wanted to create Brahmanas, when he wanted to give these Vedas, when he wanted to create these sacrifices, he chanted this name Om Tat Sat, and with this name he started to create everything. So in this way, those who are in Sattva-guna, they chant always Lord's name, and with this Lord's name, they do their work, they do their karma. When they do their karma, then they are free from all the discrepancies. So these 3 words are actually denoting Lord's quality. Om. Om means Om it edat brahmano nedishtam nama. So Om, it actually means it is a pranava of the Lord. Okay, we'll have questions in the end. I cannot concentrate on both the things. So Om means it is actually your voice is breaking. Is it my voice is breaking? Are you able to hear properly? Everyone able to hear properly? Yes? Okay, thank you. So Om means it's a pranava and it denotes Lord only. And Tattvam, Tat, Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat. So Tat means again it is mentioning Lord only, Tattvamasi. And also Sat, Sat means Sat, Sat Eva Saumya. These are various mantras which are mentioned in the Upanishad. So Om means it is again mentioning the Lord. And Tat, Tat means that. So usually Lord is mentioned with the word Tat. Tad Vijnanartham Sagurumeva Abhigachet. To get that knowledge, you should go to a guru. In Bhagavad Gita also we have the same famous kind of shloka. To understand this Vedic knowledge, you should approach a guru. What is it? What is shloka? You should approach a guru for that knowledge. 4th chapter. Very simple shloka. What is shloka? Tad Vidhi. Yes, correct. So here also we have this word Tad Vidhi. Tad Vidhi means to understand that knowledge. That knowledge means that, not this. In this world, we can see everything. So whatever you can see by means of pramana, they are called this. But whatever is beyond your pramanas, who is called aprameya, that is called tad, that. You can never see, you can never observe, you can never perceive with your eyes. So that's why he is mentioned with that. Lord is mentioned with that word, tat. So, so here, tat means aprameya. That Lord is called tat, who is beyond our pramana. So tat, and also sat. Om tat sat. Sat means again. It means who is eternal. The Lord is going to explain these 3 words. What is this Om tat sat? So what is meant by Om tat sat? Om tat sat means that Supreme Lord is the eternal, is the highest truth. That is Om Tat Sat. Om means Lord, and Tat means that Lord, Sat means eternal. He is the absolute truth. So Om Tat Sat means that Lord is the absolute truth. So this is the combined meaning of this mantra. So when you chant this mantra, then you are free from all the defects. In 8th canto, we are seeing this shloka where it is said, Mantratas tantrasis chidram desha kalaha vastunaha sarvam karodi nischidram anusankirtanam tava. So when Bali Maharaja was doing this yajna, it was stopped. There was an obstacle. Lord Vamana Dev, he came and he took everything from Bali Maharaja. So now Lord says, now you please perform this yajna, you please finish this yajna to the Bali Maharaj Guru, Sukracharya. So Sukracharya says, this yajna is already completed. This yajna, even you are saying it is obstructed. No, it is already completed. Why? Because in an yajna, whatever defects are there, mantratas tantrajas chidram, there may be mantra deficiency, there may be tantra, there may be action, there may be so many discrepancies. Desha kalahara vastunaha, there may be improper time, improper place, improper ingredients. So all this thing can be rectified. Sarvam karodi nischidram, everything can be rectified by nama sankirtanam tava. By means of chanting your name alone, everything is rectified. So if your name has that much ability, that much potency, what to speak when you have appeared yourself? You have appeared in this yajna. You have taken everything from Bali Maharaja. So that is the completeness of yajna. So always you should chant Lord's name. By chanting Lord's name, everything is perfect. So when you understand, when you see this in previous yugas, Lord's name was not so famous because people are after so much after meditation, so much after yajna, so much after puja, but everything is covered or everything becomes perfect by means of nama sankirtana. So by means of chanting this mantra, we can become, our karyas can become perfect. So Krishna says, by means of chanting that word tat, it means the person who is chanting this Om Tat Sat, he is not after temporary results, but he is after the supreme result, that is liberation. So in order to indicate that, he uses this word tat. And also he speaks sat. What is sat? Sat means that Satvatam Patihi. Sat means here Supreme Lord. And Sat means Satam Prasanga Mamaviri Samhita. Sat means again devotees. So it's an auspicious word to invoke when there is a auspicious work is happening. So by means of chanting this Om Tat Sat, Sat means again to indicate this sacrifice, this austerity, this tapasya, it is meant for Lord. It is not meant for my enjoyment. It is meant for permanent results. It is not meant for my own sense gratification. So Sat means eternal. So whatever I am performing, this austerity, this charity, this tapasya, it is not meant for temporary results. It is not meant for temporary result, means it is not meant for my sense enjoyment. Rather, it is meant for permanent result, means it is meant for Lord satisfaction. So by means of chanting these names, a person indicates that this, whatever I am doing, it is meant for Lord satisfaction. It is meant for his enjoyment. It is not for my sense gratification. So when this, with this mode, if you perform anything, then it produces result. So we see this all the time. From the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we can find this stream. This stream is coming. You should keep this in your mind. What is that? This is not for me. This is not mine, and I am not the enjoyer. So these three things are flowing everywhere. This whole Bhagavad Gita, you can see this flow is there. And especially what I have in my small understanding, what I have found, that in first 6th chapter, middle 6th chapter, and in the end 6th chapter. So this end 6th chapter, it is meant us to bring us to this understanding that we are not the doers, because that's how Krishna is going to complete this 18th chapter, that we are not the doers. And also in the first 6th chapter, it was mentioned that this is not our karma, this is Lord's karma, because it is mentioned in the Vedas. So you perform the actions which are mentioned in the Vedas. So it is not your work, it is Lord's work, and you are performing simply that work. So that is called Karma Yoga. So it is not your work, you are not the doer, and this result goes to the Lord. So in the middle 6th chapter, we have Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means what? Whatever we are doing it for the Lord's satisfaction. So that is how we can see Bhakti Yoga. So these three understanding are existing in the Bhagavad Gita flow. You can see everywhere. So Krishna concludes that if you do anything without faith, your sacrifice, charity, austerity, it doesn't have any results. So the formula is we should have sattva guna faith, plus we should be in sattva guna, and we should have sattva guna faith. Sattva guna faith means, just now we saw what is sattva guna faith, and also these two things which we should include Om Tat Sat. That means with the Lord's name. So when you do this, then you get the proper result, then you get the full results. So Krishna is mentioning here in the end of this chapter that what we can understand from this chapter is, whatever you do, it should be under the realm of Shastra. If you go beyond the Shastra, then there is no way to save you. If you are a demigod worshipper, if you are a semi-demigod, demigod, whatever you worship, it should be under Shastra. If you go beyond that, if you go to some other worship, if you go to some other religion, or if you go to some other kind of faith, or if you start worshipping your self-made, own manufactured false things, then it is very asuric. Then there is no chance to get any result. So that's the conclusion of this. That is a conclusion which is given in the 17th chapter. So with this, we finish our 17th chapter and we go to 18th chapter. So 18th chapter, it's actually a big chapter, and it's an overall conclusion or overall summary of first 17th chapter. So in 18th chapter, Krishna, he summarizes whatever he has spoken, and he gives us a conclusion in the end of this 18th chapter. So this 18th chapter is called Moksha Yoga. So Ishvare kartrita buddhihi sattvopadheyat anittame swakarma parinamascha shastra sarartha uchyate. So this is the Gita Sangraha Shloka by Yamanacharya, which gives, in this he gives a summary of this 18th chapter. He says, Ishvare Kartrita Buddhi. To create this buddhi, that Ishvare Kartrita, he is the doer, we are not the doers, he is the doer. That is the first thing. Then Sattvopadheyeta Antime. Sattvopadheyeta means at least we should come to the level of Sattva Guna. That is the second thing. And Swakarma Parinamascha. Swakarma Parinamascha means we should perform our Swakarma, and how this Swakarma should gradually develop from Kamya Karma to Nishkama Karma Yoga, from Nishkama Karma Yoga to Loka Sangraha. In this way, our Swakarma should have Parinama, should have increase. Then Shastra Sarartha. Shastra Sarartha means again the Bhagavad Gita Shastra, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, which is given in the Antame Uchate, which is given in the 18th chapter. So this is the conclusion or the summary of the 18th chapter. So in this 18th chapter, Krishna is going to speak about the most secret aspect of devotion, and also he is going to speak about the surrender within devotion, how to perform this surrender in devotion. So 18th chapter starts with again Arjuna's question. Here Arjuna is asking very simple, straightforward, conclusive question. Arjuna says, Krishna, what is sannyasa, what is tyaga? What I should do? Because you have explained both the things. Is it same or is it different? What is sannyasa? Because Krishna has mentioned in the 5th chapter of the 13th shloka, he says, Sarva karmani manasa sannyasyaaste sukham vasi. By means of sannyasa, you become happy. By means of giving up all the karma, you become happy. You become very happy. Sukham vasi. So this is the definition for sannyasa. And Krishna speaks about, in so many places he speaks about tektva karma phala sangam. So in many places he says, give up the results for your work. That is called tyaga. So now Arjuna wants to ask whether both words are same or different. Is it same like Kuru and Pandavas, or is it different like water and river or water and mountain? Because when you say water and mountain, they are two different things. There is no any connection. But when you say Kurus and Pandavas, have same meaning. They are Kuru dynasty, but simply they belong to Pandusan, so they are called as Pandavas also. But actually they are also Kuru. So in this way, this sannyasa and tyaga, whether they are same or different. Now Arjuna is thinking, okay, now we should conclude this Bhagavad Gita. Now we should come to a conclusion. Just for our own understanding, because in the shloka it is mentioned, Arjuna is mentioning Krishna as Rishikesha. Why he is mentioning Krishna as Rishikesha? Because he says, Sannyasastu mahabhago tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha Rishikesha pratak kesi nishudana. Hey Krishna, you are Rishikesha. Why Arjuna is mentioning suddenly Rishikesha? Because Arjuna is saying, actually I was quite clear, but again you are creating some doubts in my heart. It is not that I am making this question. You are inside as a Rishikesha, you are making this question out of me. You are bringing this question. What is sannyasa? What is tyaga? Why? Because just to make it clear for the hearers, because we are ending the Bhagavad Gita. So in the end of Bhagavad Gita, just to give us a conclusion, Krishna has made Arjuna to ask this question again. So that's why Arjuna is asking this question again in the 18th chapter. So Krishna says very clearly that sannyasa means giving up all your karma, and tyaga means giving up the results for your karma. So sannyasa means it is for sannyasis, karma sannyasis, and tyaga means it is mainly for grahasthas. So that's the difference between sannyasa and tyaga. So sannyasis means they give up the karma completely, and tyagis and tyaga means they give up the results for their karma. Because it is very difficult for us to give up karma. It is impossible for us to give up karma. So what we can do, we can at least give up the results for that karma. Because you tell a child, just sit down. The child won't sit like that. Previously it was like that. When we have a annual holidays, and you have summer holidays, then all the children, they group up and they come to grandmother's house, grandfather's house. There are so many children, so many grandchildren. So we have 10 children together. and every children is going wild. They are doing here and there, they are running here and there. So this grandparent, they become crazy. They don't know how to handle these people. They are very peaceful people. Old people, they become old and they want to take rest. So they have very peaceful life. And suddenly in a year, this 1 month becomes wild in their life. And in their life, so much noise, so much disturbance in house, all the things are thrown here and there. So they go crazy. They start shouting. They say, just be peaceful, just sit peaceful. You can sit peacefully, but how children can sit peacefully? They will be running here and there. So what they have to do, they will find a way. Okay, you want to do something, right? Okay, come, we will go and do gardening. Come, we will do gardening. So they will take the children, and they will start doing gardening. So in this way, they engage properly. So why to waste your energy? Engage for me. This happens for us when we go to our grandmother house for our holidays, summer holidays. Then we go wild. We create disturbance everywhere. Then my grandmother, she takes us behind. We have some land, so she takes us and she says, "Okay, now plant this, do this, water this, take care of garden." So we all, with so much happiness, we all do this work. So this is how we should understand sannyasa and tyaga. Sannyasa means just give up everything and sit ideally. It is impossible, because even to maintain your body, you should do some work. So Krishna is saying, instead of giving up everything, you give up only the results. You do your work, but give up the result. So in this way, tyaga is better than sannyasa. But there are some people who say we should give up all our actions. And there are some people who say we should never give up our action. We should never give up charity, sacrifice, and austerity. So that is so. As I said previously, people's action means either sacrifice, charity, tapasya. This is their action, not like our actions. Now our actions are very different. Our actions are just some work. It is different from previous people action. Previously, people, they were doing actions. It is either their sacrifice, or their charity, or their austerity. This is how they were doing their actions. So Krishna is saying that there are some people who say we should give up action, and some people, they say we should never give up our action. Action means again here austerity, charity, and tapasya. But in my conclusion, Arjuna, that these three things should never give up. They should never give up, because these three things, they purify us. So these three things has to be done with tyaga. What is tyaga? Giving up the results. We should do the action, but we should not have the desire for the results. So this should be done in a mood of tyaga, not in the mood of sannyasa. So again, what is tyaga? Tyaga means, again, it is three types. It is having sattva, raja, and tamoguna kind of tyaga. So a wise never gives up sacrifice, charity, and austerity, because it purifies, it helps us to develop knowledge. So actions should be done. It should be done without doership, without longing for the results. So this is how we should do our action. How we should do our action? First thing, we should never take up the doership. I am the doer. We should never take up this doership. Second thing, we should never long for the results. I am the enjoyer. We should never long for the results. When you have this two understanding, then automatically third one comes. What is that? If you are not the doer, who is the doer? If the result doesn't go to you, it goes to whom? I am not the doer, Lord is the doer. The result is not meant for me, it is meant for the Lord, because he is the doer. Correct? Because when he is the doer, the result goes to him. Who am I? I'm just an instrument in his hand. So with this three understanding, we should do our tyaga. We should do our austerity, sacrifice, and tapas. We should do our day-to-day activities in this three understanding. So you can see the flow is going like this. From third chapter, Krishna started this Nishkama Karma Yoga. From there, you can see this flow, how this flow is coming. And Krishna in the middle, sixth chapter, he spoke about bhakti. So bhakti is again different thing, but again, the two things are very important. Either you do your Nishkama Karma Yoga, and while doing your Nishkama Karma Yoga, you perform your bhakti activities also. These two things, like a railway track, it goes together, it goes simultaneously. So Krishna says that even a sannyasi should not give up his daily rituals, and rejection arises from the lack of knowledge, is in ignorance. If a sannyasi, he gives up the prescribed duties, then it is actually in the form of ignorance, because he thinks, this austerity, this tapasya, it is actually going to bind me. If he thinks like this, and if he gives up the karma, then the sannyasi, then the person is in then the tyaga is in the form of tamoguna. But if somebody is in rajoguna, he gives up this duties out of fear or out of inconvenience or out of laziness, then he is in the form of rajoguna tyaga. And what is sattva-guna tyaga? Sattva-guna tyaga means he does out of duty, he doesn't have any doership, and he doesn't desire for any results. So a sannyasi in the mode of goodness should be devoid of doubts, should not hate for uncomfortable duties, and should not desire for favorable duties. So Krishna again concludes here the same thing, that instead of giving up everything, you try to give up the results for your actions. That is the highest thing. So it is impossible for you to give up your actions. Even to maintain your body, you need to do some action. So the best thing is to give up the results for your action. And those sannyasis, those who give up the karma based on this wrong conception, they will end up in hell, or they may go to heavenly planet, or they may get human birth, but they will never get liberation. So this is how we should see the sannyasa and tyaga. Krishna ends subject matter here. He gives a conclusion that tyaga is better than karma sannyasa. So we will end up here. And from this shloka, from next shloka onwards, from 15 shloka onwards, Krishna speaks about non-doership, how to develop this knowledge of non-doership. Already this was little bit touched in the 3rd chapter itself. In Prakrite Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvasaha Ahankara Vimodatma Kartahamiti Manyate. In the 3rd chapter it was touched, and also in the 13th chapter again this thing was again brought up, that we are not a doer. So who is the doer? The 3 gunas are the doer, and also the Prakriti is the doer. The senses are the doer. And ultimately Lord is the doer, and we are also a doer. So there are 5 doers, 5 reasons for a person, for anything to be done in this world. So don't take doership yourself. Doership, it has to be given to these 5 people. So this we will see in the next section of this 18th chapter. And after completing this, Krishna gives us conclusion. He gives us what is the ultimate thing that each karma yogi or jnani or a devotee, nirapeksha bhakta should do. He gives a conclusion in the 18th chapter. So this is how we will end this. And I will end this class here. If you have any questions or doubts, you can ask now. We have 10 more minutes. There are some doubts which are mentioned here. Okay, we have a question from Vijay Lakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
This Om Tat Sat, should we chant this along with what we regularly chanting, or just like that we can use this mantra Om Tat Sat? I have heard some acharya while giving lecture, and at the end of the lecture they say Om Tat Sat.
Yeah. So here he is giving us a principle. He is not giving us a detail. Here he says every actions that we perform, spiritual actions, whatever actions we perform, it should accompany with holy names. That's it. So it's a principle. And whatever mantra that you choose, it's your wish. It is not that only we should chant Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat means it is like an impersonal also to that Supreme Lord. To that Supreme Lord. What's his name? So when you have personal name, when you know personal name, it is always better. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We have this mantra. And we have many other manklachanas which are very beautifully given by various acharyas, which invoke mercy, which invoke some devotion in our heart also. So that kind of mantras are very beneficial, because this mantra, yes, it is good, but it doesn't produce any kind of devotion in our heart. It doesn't produce any kind of mercy in our heart. Om Tat Sat, okay. But when you chant, like we have Mangalacharana from various devotees, where it is said, Bhakti Rakshadi Daksha. Hey Krishna, you are very daksha. You are very expert. What kind of expert? In order to in protecting devotees, you are very expert. When you chant this kind of words, it produces some rasa in your heart. So yeah, it's a principle what is given here, but we always follow our acharyas. It's good. Yeah, I think it question.
Thank you.
Your question. Okay. How about grama deities? Are they Buddha today? Yes, grama deities. They are they are either in the mode of tamoguna or they may be self-manifested people. They just out of ignorance they have created something. Nowadays we have so many what to say. Yeah, last for this Shankaranti, for this Makara Shankaranti, I was in Andhra Pradesh, AP. So I saw a strange thing. Maybe I don't know, but what they were doing for Bogi, they were bringing lots of wood, fresh wood, and they were keeping in front of their house or temple, and they were burning. Why they were burning? It's just because it has to be burned. But in Tamil Nadu, we have different way of doing it. Why we also burn? What we burn? We bring all the old things our house, and we keep it outside and we burn everything. So that is how we do. Maybe how it would have come means that a person is burning something. He brought so many old things from his house and he's burning. And the neighbor person, he's singing, okay, he is burning something on this festival day. I don't have anything to burn. So he brought so many woods and he started to burn. And this becomes a tradition. Okay, for Bhogi, we should burn the wood. And we started to burn old things because maybe we were seeing some farmers, they were burning all the crops because after cutting the crops, you have leftover things. So they were burning, like in Delhi, recently, the Delhi was full of smoke. Why? Because from Punjab, from Haryana, farmers, they started to burn so many things, the crops, the leftover crops. So it produced so much smoke. So we may be thinking, okay, this farmer is burning so many useless things. So I don't have anything to burn. So I will burn already so many useless things. I will start burning. But like this, there may be so many tradition coming by means of just blind faith, but we lose the main essence. What is the main essence? This Makara Shankaranti, it is meant for thanking sun god, thanking demigods in order to recognize them. So what happens by means of following so many traditions, we give up the essential knowledge. This is what happening nowadays in the struggle of doing so many actions. We forget the knowledge or the goal of these actions. So we should try to understand in this way. So that's what Krishna says here. Action is not so much important. Knowledge is important. What is the conclusion? What we understand from that is very much important. Okay. Yes, it is believed that Shastra to render service, charity to Brahmanas leads us to purification, charity to Vaishnavas, that is Bhagavatas, is Sakshat Vishnu Seva, Krishna Seva. Okay. If we make conditions on charity, but it's selfless or no benefit to us, but helping someone else. Yeah, when you do your charity without any expecting results for as I said, when you help Vaishnavas, then they perform more devotion service. By means of that devotion service, you get benefit also. But when you do charity for useless people, they commit sinful activities. By means of that, you become supporter of their sinful activities and you get the karma also for their sinful reactions. So that's why we should give charity to a proper person. Okay, I think that's it. There are no more questions, and tomorrow we'll come to this conclusion of this Bhagavad Gita 22nd day. And here, see you all tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavad Gita.